So for this past couple weeks or so, I have been listening to this audiobook called Reality Transurfing. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's by Vadim Zealand. And a recurring theme is the concept of excess potential. And the closest thing I can relate it to, coming from a Six Sigma background, is waste. Right? So in the book, he talks about creating all this excess energy for certain tasks or certain things or certain events that occur in life. And then from like a business or process standpoint, waste is considered extra energy needed to be done to complete a task within a certain process. So if you can eliminate the waste, then the process becomes more efficient. So I feel like excess potential or reducing excess potential in your life is very similar. You're able to operate as the person you want to become more efficiently instead of being consumed by a lot of worry or what ifs or what if scenarios. And this really resonated with me once I finally understood what the author was talking about, because it kept coming up chapter after chapter. He kept talking about pendulums and excess potential. If you've read the book, you know. And how this excess potential can swing the pendulum one way or the other. And to kind of relate it to something in real life, it's something that always that you don't want to happens, right? You're trying to avoid something and it happens, or you really want something to happen and it doesn't happen. Here's a very simple example. You create a YouTube video, you post it, and then you're constantly checking to see the views, likes. You're constantly looking for validation maybe, or just what the results will be from the video that you posted. You're probably doing that multiple times throughout the day, right? If you're a new YouTuber, or or if it's something that you think is really good, and you just want to see how people receive it, that's creating excess potential right there. You're literally taking the time and energy to open the YouTube app and check the analytics. That needs to stop, right? That's something that's out of your control, and you should not worry about it, right? That's creating excess potential. You're trying to force an outcome. You're giving importance, you're feeding importance to a desired result, right? That may or may not happen. It's out of your control. You can only control what the actions that you do, but you still have to remain indifferent and detached from the outcome, from the emotions that follow. So once I understood what this idea or concept was about, it made me realize how much time I spend worrying or thinking about things, whether it happened in the past or if it's something that I need to do in the future, right? You should be focused on the present. Keep all your attention there. Go with the flow, so you don't create this excess potential by worrying about something that you think may or may not happen. Usually the outcome is the certain thing that you don't want to happen doesn't normally, right? Sometimes we make things a lot bigger of a deal in our own heads than what they turn out to be. And it could be something very small, right? And then also, we need to not give excess potential to things that we want to do in the future, or desired results in the future, right? Because then that can build anxiety or too much excitement, right? And this has an overall impact on your body and its health. Like, you can literally make yourself feel sick with just your thoughts and feelings alone, right? So we need to keep our emotions in check, right? In order for us to continue to move forward in a healthy and most optimal way. Because you want to be able to remove this additional or excess potential or waste, right? Because that can really distract you from the goals you're trying to achieve. Or it can cause, the pendulums in life to swing further one way than you want it to. So it's really important to not put things on a pedestal, don't make things overly important, right? Because that can backfire on you. Your mind is one of your greatest weapons, but also one of your greatest enemies as well, right? Because of the self-sabotage. That's a very real thing, right? If you think you're going to perform terribly at something, then you're more than likely will, right? And that's just you self-sabotaging yourself, which is something that's totally not real, but you convince yourself that it is. And that's creating way too much excess energy and potential just to even think about that, right? So it made me wonder, a lot of us may be giving too much importance to certain things, are creating too much excess potential in life, when really we shouldn't. It should be a very simple, easy path, or as easy as you can make it towards one goal. I'm not saying don't do difficult things, right? Enjoy the challenge, but don't give it too much importance. Be like, okay, yeah, I got to do that. Boom, that's it. And then remove the additional emotions around that, right? Put it in a mental box, put it over to the side, and push forward. To me, at least that's how I understand this concept in the book. And it really made sense, I think, maybe the 20th time that I saw it in the literature. Because it can be very distraction, and it can be very distracting, and it can consume a lot of your energy, especially if it's negative energy. It can really detract from your health. So this is just a note and reminder to myself to stop creating excess potential in order to become the person that you want, right? That's just one, I think, small but also key takeaway in achieving self-sovereignty.